Today let's talk Apple, Samsung and Google. What you see now is the best flagship from each company, but which one of these would you choose as your daily driver? Let me try to help you. What if I told you that the Pixel 7 Pro has the best smart features on any smartphone? Like now playing that automatically identifies songs, it can unblur your messy photos, it takes stunning astrophotography shots, you can remove photo bummers with the tap of a button, you get assistant voice typing that takes your experience to the next level, it has the best voice assistant that answers all your questions, day one software updates from Google, and even more. You get all of this for $999, which is $200 cheaper than the competition. Doesn't sound like a great deal? But hold on a second. You can add $200 extra and get the S23 Ultra. It's the only smartphone that comes with a pen for taking notes. It has the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is much more powerful than Google's Tensor. You can use your phone as a PC thanks to Samsung DeX. It runs Android, so you get all Google services anyways. Plus Samsung makes the best displays, in addition to 8K video recording and the 200 megapixel photos. I think the S23 Ultra sounds like a better option now. But what about the 14 Pro Max? It costs about the same as the S23 Ultra, but it has the highest resale value. Apple is known for its better customer support. You get iMessage, FaceTime, a great ecosystem, the best camera for videos, and more. So which one would you choose now? As you saw, the more you compare, the more you will realize that you have to give up on certain things when you decide to choose only one of them. But the reality is, all three can do 90% of your daily tasks absolutely fine, like calling, texting, sending emails, attending meetings, browsing social media, and more. But those redundant tasks that you do 90% of your time might not be the reason why you would choose one over the other, but the remaining 10% can completely change your mind. Those 10% are the moments when you appreciate having the S Pen of the S23 Ultra that made it easy for you to take a note or sign a document in a very convenient way, or when you take a blurry photo and the Pixel 7 Pro is the only phone that can fix it for you, or when you record a high quality video on your 14 Pro Max. So in this video, I'm not going to talk about the things that all of them can do and tell you which one does it better, but I'm going to talk about the things that differentiate these phones from each other and which one of them can do your 10% better. And most probably that will be the phone that will make you happy, but I'm going to also tell you what are the inconveniences you have to deal with based on your choice. So let's start with the S23 Ultra. If you want a multitasking beast, this is the phone you should get, period. Why? Because there are many reasons for that. Number one is obviously the S Pen. It can allow you to take notes even with the screen off by just taking the pen out of the phone. You can use it to crop a certain part from what you see, put your annotations, and share the results immediately without the need to open a separate app. Plus, you can convert your handwriting into text on the fly, which will make it more convenient to share with others. Secondly, the S23 Ultra supports a split screen like any Android, but you also get the pop-up view window. That allows any app to float like a picture-in-picture window, so you can open multiple apps and interact with them seamlessly. And if the 6.7-inch display is not enough for your multitasking needs, plug it to an external display and you will get a PC-like experience without any restrictions or requirements. These unbeatable multitasking capabilities are powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which impressed me in how it performs. In my heavy workload test between the same three phones you see in this comparison, the S23 Ultra smashed the competition. After 19 minutes, the 14 Pro Max started to lag like crazy till the end of the test, and the 7 Pro dropped the data connection twice and gave a thermal warning once, while the S23 Ultra finished the whole 30 minutes without any problems. The second reason to consider the S23 Ultra over the competition is the tremendous number of features and options you get. This phone can allow you to play media on two Bluetooth speakers at the same time to get a stereo sound, or place them in different rooms to get a smart speakers-like experience without the need to purchase any. You can install WhatsApp twice, same as Facebook, Telegram, and Messenger if you have two accounts or phone numbers, which will save you from switching between them and missing notifications. You can even adjust your display white balance and the colors to your taste. Not to mention the number of customizations you can do for your home screen and lock screen by installing different themes, icon packs, always-on display designs, in addition to Android's Material You theming. There are even more to talk about, but I'm sure you got the idea. So if the things I just mentioned excite you the most, it's a no-brainer to go for the S23 Ultra and forget about the comparisons and the arguments. because comparisons are made to criticize things to make them better, and even if this phone is slightly worse than others in certain things, it won't be a massive difference. And I'm sure you will find a way to deal with its shortcomings if it can do the things that excite you the most. And now let me tell you what are the inconveniences you might encounter with this phone. Number one issue in my opinion is the redundancy in everything. You have the Galaxy Store and Google Play Store, Samsung Wallet and Google Wallet, Google Assistant and Bixby, Samsung Smart Things and Google Home, Samsung Internet and Google Chrome, Samsung Pass and Google Password Manager, and the list goes on. And they made it even worse by partnering with Microsoft. For example, the S23 Ultra has 3 keyboards installed by default: Samsung Keyboard, Microsoft Swift Key, and Google Voice Typing. You get Microsoft 365 apps along with Google Workspace apps, and more. And this is a problem because at any point of time, if you decided to switch to any other phone like a Pixel which is also running Android, you will find that some of your data is saved to your Samsung account while other things are split between your Microsoft and Google accounts. So it will be very hard to move or merge all of them when you make the switch. So you need to be careful on which apps you use to avoid this from happening. The second inconvenience is the slower Android releases. I'm not talking about the monthly updates because it's not a problem, but I mean moving from Android 13 to Android 14, for example, is much slower than Pixel phones. Lastly, the resale value of Samsung phones is not as high as the iPhones, even though they are as popular. So these are the most important things you need to know before deciding to go for the S23 Ultra, and now it's time for the 14 Pro Max. The number one reason to pick an iPhone in my opinion is the quality. You will notice this in pretty much everything. It has a premium hardware, a minimal and elegant design, the software and the animations are visually appealing, and some apps have more features on iOS than Android. And in some cases, apps come first to iOS. I'm not saying that the other two phones are far behind, but the iPhone is slightly better in the quality of things. Reason number two is iMessage and FaceTime, but it depends mainly on where you live. For example, in some countries, people don't care that much about those two features while others do. So you are the judge here if it matters to you or not. Number three is the noticeably better customer support, and I'm saying this as an ex-Apple Care supervisor for 4 years. And I have to say that I didn't see anything like it. Reason number four is the ecosystem. With no doubt, Apple provides you with all the devices you might need, like the AirPods, the iPad, the Apple Watch, and Mac computers, and they work seamlessly together. So if you like Apple products and don't care about other brands, you will enjoy it. But if you have a different taste in certain things, this closed ecosystem will be a disadvantage for you, which is something I will talk about later. Samsung also has a great ecosystem that includes the Galaxy Watch, the Buds, the tablets, and computers, but they rely on Google and Microsoft to power these devices, so they don't have full control over the operating systems in how they look or function. Google's ecosystem is similar to Apple's, but they just started. 2022 was the first year for Google to make a Pixel Watch, and 2023 is the first year for tablets, so they will need some time to come close to Apple, and that's why Samsung and Google are not on the same level. Reason number five is the longer software support. With iPhones, you get 5 years of OS updates versus 4 years for the S23 Ultra and 3 years for the 7 Pro. So if you are someone who barely upgrades his phone, this will be an advantage for you. Lastly, iPhones have the best resale value. So when you decide to upgrade your phone, you won't lose that much, unlike Samsung and Google phones that get a price drop relatively faster. So these are the things you will enjoy when you get the 14 Pro Max, and now let's talk about the inconveniences. Number one is the more money you will pay Apple, not for the iPhone, but after purchasing the iPhone. And let's start with the apps. Most of the time, iOS apps are more expensive than Android or require a subscription to use them, while Android is easier on your wallet. Secondly, most of the iPhone features are only compatible with Apple devices, like AirDrop or iMessage. So if you have a Windows PC for any reason, you won't enjoy any of these features. In contrast, Android's Nearby Share, which is the AirDrop equivalent, is available on Windows, and Google's RCS messaging is accessible from the web, which pushes you to purchase more Apple devices to get the full experience, or else you will be out of luck. Third, Apple don't make deals whatsoever. Like pre-order the iPhone and get a case for free? No. Or purchase an iPad and say I love Apple out loud in the store and get a free Apple Pencil? Still no. But you have to pay the full amount regardless if it's a Black Friday, Christmas, or any other event. Fourth, the much higher repair cost. For example, to replace the 14 Pro Max's display, you have to pay 1,499 dirhams here in the UAE. While on the S23 Ultra side, you can only pay 970 for the screen replacement, and if it's only a repair, you can pay 665 dirhams. And even if you decided to go for Apple Care Plus or Samsung Care Plus, you will find that Apple will charge you much more. It costs 799 dirhams versus only 299 on the Samsung side. Even though both phones have the same exact retail price, and for your info, Samsung makes the iPhone displays, so I'm not sure why the iPhone 14 Pro Max's display has a much higher cost than the S23 Ultra. One final inconvenience that I see with the iPhones is how late is Apple in adding some obvious features, like the widgets for example. It only came to iPhones with iOS 14, and after 3 years with iOS 17, they became interactive, and still don't support scrolling till now. While on Android, we have interactive widgets with scrolling support since the beginning of mankind. Plus, there is no split screen and no numbers row in the keyboard, which is crazy. So, to sum up, if the iPhone's higher quality, higher resale value, better ecosystem, and the customer support are the most important things to you, but paying more on the long run, then the 14 Pro Max should be your phone of choice. And now let's talk about the Pixel 7 Pro. This phone is for the people who appreciate innovation and creativity over anything else. For example, sometimes you wish you had a feature that Samsung or Apple already have, but Google hits you with a new feature that's beyond your imagination, like the Magic Editor coming this year to Pixel phones, or the AI-generated wallpapers, which is also due to come later this year. Most of us dreamed about a feature to identify the song name when you sing it or hum it. You got it. Hum to search in Google Assistant. In addition to the 6 features I already mentioned at the beginning of the video that you can see now on the screen, you also get Google Assistant Hold For Me feature that stays on hold for you when you call businesses and notifies you when a human is on the line. The call captions that converts your calls into a chat, live translate that translates your conversations in line, and still more. So the number of smart and useful features you get with the Pixel is massive, and most of them don't exist anywhere else. Reason number 2. If you like the iPhone's simplicity but you prefer Android's flexibility, only the Pixel phones fill this gap. Sometimes people don't want that massive number of settings and options Samsung offers, and they prefer things to be simple. The third reason to get a Pixel is the day one software updates, which doesn't exist with any other Android phone, in addition to a feature drop every 3 months. With Apple and Samsung, you get most, if not all, the features once a year with every major release, and the monthly updates are mainly for security and bug fixes. Reason number 4 is the exclusive camera features like Action Pan, long exposure, and astrophotography, which can allow you to take some creative and amazing photos when the right moment comes. Not to mention the face unblur that can even unblur your photos at the time of capture without the need to edit them later. Number 5 is Google flagships are noticeably cheaper than the competition, and there are always deals to save even more. So these are the main reasons why you should pick the 7 Pro over the competition, and now let's take a look at the inconveniences. Number 1, the subpar chipset. Tensor G2 is not on the same level of the other 2 phones as it overheats much easier, which results in thermal throttling and faster refresh rate and brightness drop. If you live in a hot country like I do, this issue will bother you sometimes, but I don't think people who live in a cold weather will have a problem. Number 2 is the very limited availability worldwide. It's hard to purchase a Pixel phone in a lot of countries, and if you managed to get one, it will be overpriced due to the shipping and service fees you pay to the online store, plus the taxes when it arrives. Not to mention that if the device gone faulty, there is no way to claim your warranty. Number 3 is related to the camera. The video recording and portraits have some issues like the grainy videos and bad subject isolation. Number 4, the 7 Pro has the shortest software update support, which is 3 years, versus 4 and 5 years on Samsung and Apple sides, respectively. Number 5, the resale value. Pixel phones have the worst resale value when compared to Samsung and Apple, and that's for obvious reasons like the quicker price drop and the lack of popularity. And finally, the worst customer support. I tried Google's customer service many times and they always let me down. So to sum up, if you need a phone that can do most of the things you need easily with minimal to zero effort, clean software, amazing photos and camera features, then the 7 Pro is the phone for you. But you need to be patient until Google upgrades the chipset to have better thermal management, which is the worst thing about this phone. But for other things, I think they can be tolerated a bit more. So that's pretty much it for today. That was my comparison between the 14 Pro Max, the S23 Ultra, and the Pixel 7 Pro. Please let me know in the comments what do you think. But for now, thanks so much for watching and see you in the next video.